sort of way. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history. If the bugs go sort of way. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history.
U.S. approves potential sale of $3.75 billion of M1A1 Abrams tanks to Poland. Is this the first sign that Poland is going to be a part of yet again another world conflict? It says that the U.S. State Department has approved a potential sale of 116 General Dynamics-made M1A1 Abrams tanks. And it says other vehicles and munitions to Poland in a deal valued up to $3.75 billion, the Pentagon said on Tuesday. The sale comes just months after Poland was authorized to buy 250 M1A1 tanks by the same maker. It says with this new option, Poland could elect to buy a mix of the two tank versions as it seeks to modernize its military and adjust it, of course, with new geopolitical realities following Vlad's invasion of UKR. It says the package would include vehicles to recover disabled tanks, 8 assault bridges, and other vehicles. It would also provide thousands of rounds of advanced munitions, including armor-piercing rounds, spares, and technical support, the Pentagon said. Sounds to me like they're giving some Poland some stuff to get ready for a conflict. Or, again, it could just be the military-industrial complex pumping out and taking in a lot of money. Of course, that could be an option too. We'll talk about all of that and much, much more on tonight's show. This is a live show, and tonight will be calls at 224-400-MARF. We're going to be opening up those phone lines in just a minute. If you are a first-time caller, highly encourage you to do so. We'll be right back right after this. Nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect my opinion, Dex's opinion, or anyone else who works with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals. The internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. If you have not already, it helps us out if you end up going through any of our affiliates, and it helps you out if you end up protecting yourself against cybercrime. NordVPN is one of the best and one of the easiest to use. If you do not have a virtual private network, it protects your IP address, which is your online identity, which actually connects to your real address and everything else. It also connects to you. If you know anything about how they are data logging and basically getting your profiles down, you can prevent that by having a VPN. Nord is, again, one of the easiest. Download it. It's like an on switch and off switch. All you have to do. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. Not only will you get a giant discount on this, but you will also be helping us. I appreciate your support, and I appreciate everyone that goes through any of our affiliates. Can't say thank you enough.
If the bugs go sort of way. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history. If the bugs go sort of way. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history.
All right, what is going on, guys? It is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Today's going to be a great show, so I hope you tuned in and got your popcorn, because the world is falling apart. If you haven't been here before, we always make a bibliography for every single episode, and we put it over on marfooglenews.com. Now, when you go there, you'll see that it's very easy to navigate. It is all done by thumbnail. You'll just look for today's thumbnail. Insects are vanishing, which, again, make sure to look at that thumbnail because it took me forever to make by hand. And, of course, when you click on that, once you find that website, you will find that we have every single article, tweet, video, picture, document there at your fingertips. That way you know exactly where we got the information from, where we have collected this. There's a lot of time spent on this website, so make sure to go check it out. Again, tons of great stuff, not only in the regular show, but at the very bottom, all of the stuff that would not fit into a 2-hour time period is down there in the overflow. Lots of political stuff, all sorts of things. We'll talk about all of those at the very end. Now let's bring in my co-host / internet brother, Dex James. What is going on, and how are you doing tonight?
Well, hello, Adam, and hello, Foogle fam. I'm doing just fine.
So there's so much going on that obviously we're going to get through this, but also today is a call-in show. So if you do want to call in, that number is scrolling right down below. It's going to go through twice. The first time with the 224-400-MARF, which I believe is right there. And then the second time it's going to give you those the numbers that MARF stands for, which is 2244 006273 if you don't have a phone with little letters coordinating with the numbers. Also, just a reminder, go over to marfooglenews.com/friends. All of our mods channels are there. The mods do a great job keeping it peaceful. Again, the general chat rules is don't push anybody down, push people up. If there are callers, be respectful. When we do get into calling, the most common thing that people are muted for is saying next or hang up or this or that. You never know what people are going through when people are calling. Just give a quick example so we have no problems tonight. There was somebody who spoke and had a slur and sounded like everybody basically said, oh, this person's drunk, hang up on him. Well, they actually ended up reading the comments afterwards. They, of course, see it too. They ended up calling back and they ended up tuning in, and they said it was really heartbreaking since they had a stroke. And of course, nobody cared to even think like what that person was going through. It was pretty hard for them. Just consider that no matter how somebody sounds or what they're doing, they may have had something happen to them. Everyone is fighting their own battle in this world. So don't judge a book by its cover right off the bat. At least open to the intro or to the forward. So yeah, that was really, and I think a lot of people learned after that woman or man, I forget which one, but they called, and a lot of the folks that have been here for a long time, they have changed their ways. So if you are new here, just respect each other. Again, if you called in, I hope that they respect you as well. All right, let's get into the first piece of news here. Attack on the North Carolina power grid shows national vulnerability, expert says. It says the weekend attack on the 2 North Carolina substations that caused widespread outages is evidence of the broader vulnerability of the national power grid. It says a former top energy regulator told Spectrum News, as federal officials warn that electrical infrastructure is a known target for extremists. It says authorities have not identified a suspect or motive for Saturday's firearm attack on Duke's energy transformers in Moore County. It says 35,000 households remained without power as of this afternoon. So originally it was 40,000, whatever it was. There's still 35,000 without power, and it's a small town, so it's a big deal. They actually had a curfew put into place, similar to, something goes down, they put a curfew, a government stated curfew, which is pretty creepy in the first place, no matter what is going on. But when that happened, of course, there was a kind of a big debate online and everywhere else, and between myself and others, that this isn't just a localized issue. It's not like a car hits your local telephone pole and it knocks out a neighborhood. This is a substation, and they hit not one but 2. There is no suspect apprehended. Like I said, and like we thought, there is absolutely nobody to blame for this yet. So they are still out there. And until they get this actually replaced, because it looks like the majority of the people that were out of power are still out of power, that means that this could happen again. The thing is the grid is exactly that, a grid. It could have, connections with other parts of the grid. They say that only 9 out of 55,000 substations need to be physically hit, to knock out our entire grid. That seems really, really science fiction almost. The fact that we have 55,000 all over the country, all you have to hit is 9. And we only know that because the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission did a study into it, and they actually found the 9 places that would need to be hit. And it's not exactly 9. You say, okay, well, we'll protect that 9. There's actually about 100 that need physically protected, and then out of 30, you could pick different combos of those, and 9 of those would end up doing that. Why haven't they paid to have, round-the-clock security on all these places? I don't know. Why have they not hardened it and put it in some sort of fortified, castle or something? I don't know. But again, that is one of the vulnerabilities. It says, but similar substations around the country are at extreme risk. In the meantime, said John Wellingford, he said, I wasn't that surprised, Wellinghoff said in an interview. I haven't seen any significant amount of mitigation measures being undertaken to stop this type of incident happening. Wellinghoff, who oversaw the FERC response to a still unsolved 2013 sniper attack on a California substation, said that the fixes are as simple as putting up a concrete wall in front of a critical equipment, or even sandbags. They could literally put a pile of sandbags in front of it. It says very inexpensive, very easy to do, not rocket science. They don't need Elon Musk or any of his employees to deal with this. They need common sense. It says federal officials urged power companies to boost their physical security after the 2013 attack on PG&E substation in San Jose. The FERC even established a physical security standard at the federal level in response. Saturday's attack in North Carolina was intentional and targeted, and local authorities have said. North America's power grid consists of about 55,000 substations, according to the North American Electric Reliability Corporation. And it says some are more critical than others. High voltage transformers make up less than 3% of those in the U.S., but they carry 60 to 70% of the nation's electricity, according to the Congressional Research Service. It says a 2014 FERC study found that outages at just 9 key substations could threaten power around the country, according to a Wall Street Journal report, though it's unclear if that is still true in 2022. FERC did not respond to Spectrum News' request for comment. Regardless, Wellinghoff said that many substations are visibly exposed and found that with just a few taps on your smartphone, that you could find these. It says these substations are available on Google Maps. It's something that, anybody can go take a look at. He said a government report this year warned that extremists have long thought of targeting the grid, according to a memo obtained by the Associated Press. It says teams have developed credible, specific plans to attack electricity infrastructure since at least, get this, 2020. So this isn't, when any of the other previous attacks had happened, they had been planned for years and years. Again, this has been since they got the threats in 2020. This is what they're saying, and then there was warnings in 2018 that were public about EMP, and since 2020 they have had public threats, or at least threats that they knew were credible, since 2020. So how long does it take to plan something like this? I don't know. It says those attacks could become real life-threatening when a lack of power knocks out critical home medical equipment. For example, or an area is experiencing extreme heat or cold. President JB and the Department of Energy have put a focus on power grid resiliency, including through funding in the bipartisan infrastructure law passed 1 year ago. I'd like to point out, I like how they say that is something that JB has done. JB unsigned and basically tried to undo executive orders done by the previous president that was meant to harden our grid. Now, EMP Shield, one of our affiliates, we actually got kind of the inside scoop when all that was going on, and they said they still are contracted, and there's certain things that there's still contracts for, but basically when JB unsigned all that stuff, almost seemingly out of spite because it had bipartisan support, they said that it just slowed them down. So the vulnerability getting fixed essentially got slowed down, and nobody knew why some of those things were unsigned. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. And it says the DOE recently announced $13 billion in grants available for projects to modernize and expand America's power grid. But it's difficult for the federal government to do much immediately or directly since private power companies control the vast majority of the electrical infrastructure around the U.S. It says a ransomware attack last year on the 5,500-mile-long Colonial Pipeline showed that vulnerability, creating gas shortages along the East Coast. The B administration, of course, issued warnings and cybersecurity guidance to pipeline owners and other critical companies could not force recovery. The White House has, quote, worked closely with private sector to strengthen resilience against a full spectrum of potential things. And remember, he also made an announcement and had a list to other countries like, hey, if we go to war, please don't attack these things. But of course, you know that those are the first things they are going to attack. It says, including by sharing threat information with the private sector. So they're using their FBI, CIA, whatever information, NSA that they're stealing, and they're saying that they're sharing it with the private sector of energy. How many real and utter, current threats are there? Again, we don't know this, but we do know they are saying it, and this is why preppers prep. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat below. Thank you, everybody that has already popped in. Let's see here. Looks like Diodo, Beer Juice is here. Little Bear, Day's Life, James Nelson, Miss Mel. Let's see here. Anna, the In Nuts. Thank you. Dan P. Love Pugs is here. Mirror 504. Ilea, thank you for modding. Thank you, everybody that showed up today to mod. I appreciate you. And then remember, you can call in if you want to call in on this, if you have inside information, or if you just want to call about something crazy, give us a call at 224-400-MARF. Again, that number is scrolling down below. Tonight is a call-in show. Musk's Neuralink faces federal probe, employee backlash over animal tests. It says that Musk's Neuralink, a medical device company, is under federal investigation for potential animal warfare violations amid internal staff complaints that its animal testing is being rushed, causing needless suffering and deaths, according to documents reviewed by Reuters and sources familiar with the investigation and company operations. Neuralink Corp is developing a brain implant that hopes it will help paralyzed people walk again and cure other neurological ailments. The federal probe, which has not been previously reported, was opened in recent months, basically since he bought Twitter, by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Inspector General at the request of a federal prosecutor. According to two sources with the knowledge of the investigation. And I don't think it's any coincidence that, he threatened to put out information about how they held back certain stories and all that kind of stuff. But they were just like, hey, we care about the animals. They care about the animals so much. But apparently they're checking up on it. And it says the investigation has come at a time of growing employee dissent about Neuralink's animal testing. Oh, yeah, those aren't paid people to quit, including complaints that pressure from CEO Musk to accelerate development has resulted in botched experiment. Another reason, when I read this, I thought, why are they hurrying it? Why are they hurrying Neuralink? And here's just a side thought, and this is totally tinfoil. But I read it. Somebody said a comment to me, and then we had a series of DMs where they talked about it, and they told me their theory. And I thought it was pretty interesting. Daniel, great conversation. Daniel said, what if the whole, and by the way, yesterday he posted this weird picture. It was a 1968 picture of essentially, in fact, let me show you so we are all on the same page. And it's still at the top of his page. It's like he tweets every couple hours, but he wanted people to see this picture because it stayed up at the very top forever. And by the way, he gained just since yesterday, he gained I want to say 200,000 people. Yeah. And he has left this, besides two tiny tweets that don't really have any kind of substance. Starships takes beings of Earth to Mars. And it says the Ark of Space, and it's showing a Noah's Ark in the future. It shows the moon, which a lot of people have pointed out that the moon is super close, like the moon is on a collision course for Earth. That was one of the comments under this. It shows what looks like, and I pointed this out, that this looks like a current Chinese carrier that they just released, which is weird since this was painted in 1968. It could look like a classic Chinese Navy carrier too, but either way. And then it also shows men with bang bangs holding people back. And what most people have noticed is the color of the people being held back and the color of the people that are holding back. So this was very odd, and it shows that it's all up on poles and a flood in the background. Reminds you of Don't Look Up. It also reminds you of 2012 where the flood comes and all of this and all the other predictive programming that's out there. Well, Daniel's thought was, and the weird stuff going on Mars, like half of Mars turned blue for a bit, had a blue aurora above it, which they found is actually similar. If a ICBM launches into an atmosphere, it does that same thing. In fact, recently in Russia, the same thing happened. So people are thinking that maybe they're already terraforming it with nukes. But what Daniel thought is maybe they are going to Mars, something is going to screw up Earth, something's going to basically destroy Earth or hit Earth, And the people that are left here are going to be given an option, which they will find humane. They'll get to hook up to a Neuralink, and as it hits, they'll be able to go into a simulation or something. I don't know. Or they get put deep down in underground, and they live out the rest of their life in some sort of Neuralink matrix. It's a trippy thought, but again, what would you be surprised by at this point, especially after the last few years? If you look at it, all of the richest people in the world are investing in rockets and trying to get off the planet. Elon is a known and public end-of-the-worlder. He says that, we're doomed in one way or another, that our population is dwindling, that everybody needs to have 6 to 8 kids, and we're like, why? Why do we need more people when they say we're overpopulated? Is something going to happen? Of course, all the Deagle stuff that's coming up, and then, of course, the recent events with CV and every other event that has happened, it seems like things are accelerating. What do you guys think about this? Let me hear it. Give me a call at 224-400-MARF. What do you think about the crazy theory? Again, I think it's odd, but again, I wouldn't be surprised by almost anything at this point. And let's see here. Rising thefts at Walmart could lead to price jumps, store closures, CEO says. Walmart stores across the U.S. are grappling with an uptick in shoplifting that could lead to higher prices and closed stores if the problem persists. Walmart CEO Doug McMillon said on Tuesday. It says, theft is an issue. It's higher than what it has historically been. He says, we've got safety measures that we've put in place by store location. I think local law enforcement being staffed and being good partners is part of that equation, but that's normally how we approach it. It says Walmart isn't the only big box retailer dealing with an uptick in theft. Last month, Target Chief Financial Officer Michael Fiddelke said that shoplifting has jumped about 50% year over year. You can see this if you go into any Target after 10, between 10 and 11 or 9 and 10 when they close. There will be people walking around with full shopping carts. And then if you walk around for 10 minutes, you'll hear the back door buzzer start going off. And what they do is they literally walk in, they fill up their carts, and they just walk right out the side door and nobody can touch them. I've seen a couple times where the people walk out with the cart and they tip over the cart, but whatever they can grab, they get away with. And they can't touch the actual person because they're afraid of being sued. And of course, they have the loss prevention and loss insurance. But after the last couple of years, I do not see how any insurance company would keep these big box retailers insured when they know that, 30% of their products they're getting put out are just walking out the door and not being paid for. They also couldn't arrest people at some point in California and here and in a lot of the more one-sided governments. They're like not arresting people, or if they are arresting them, they're putting them in handcuffs, putting them in the back seat, not booking them, and then just letting them go, and they walk right back in and they take another shopping cart and walk out the back. One thing that frustrates most people is how they're walking out with hundreds or thousands of dollars worth of stuff, whereas we go through the line, wait, and use our hard-earned money to actually pay for it. It's obviously not everybody does it, but there is a huge uptick, and I've seen that locally here. Have you? Give me a call at 224-400-MARF. Wide Awake and Angry, nice to see you. Bug Nana. We've got Love Pugs here. Jerry Shirts. Heavy Ordnance. They won't close the store. They will change the platform. Well, I said on Twitter, I said, or they need another place or more places to put people, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, or cages, just saying. And then Apple and Amazon set to renew advertising on Twitter after suspending operations over Musk's changes. So a lot of people are making fun of all of these companies that left Twitter for a couple days or a week at most, and then they restored all of their advertising. All of the sponsors that publicly made a fuss were probably 10%, and they were some big companies. Nobody else left, and they left, and they were like, okay, we're gonna come back. Because guess what? They were losing money because the advertising was actually working on Twitter, and they were making more money, and they're not going to turn down money. It says Apple and Amazon have resumed advertising on Twitter, reversing their decision to cut ties with the social media giant in recent weeks. It says an email outlining the details of the advertising incentives was reportedly sent to advertising agencies last Thursday, or was reported. It says the deal includes a special matching bonus on Twitter's behalf for advertisers. Now, I don't think, one thing I want to point out is Elon met Tim Cook in person at Apple. And what I think went down, and Elon, you can put out some weird thing that is reference to this if you're watching on Twitter. But did you say, hey, look at the back end. Nothing's actually changed. People are still shadow banned. People are still freedom of reach is our motto here. Nothing's really changed. So don't really worry about it. It's just we're just publicly saying that we allow everything. If you know, they actually haven't changed it publicly. They haven't changed any moderation things besides they said that they were going to bring people back in amnesty. They also said they brought back several people, big high-profile people, but they publicly said, hey, nothing has changed. The moderation things are still there. Heck, things are now tagged sensitive content. I mean, like right under that painting, somebody zoomed into the guys holding a bang bang, and somebody that was actually classified as sensitive. So it's still pretty sensitive, and people are still getting booted off, and things are still happening. So I just wonder if that's why all of these companies actually came back. Maybe Elon had to go to them one by one and say, hey, just to let you know, nothing's actually changed, and I'm going to call you out on it or something. I don't know. They're losing big money if they go off of Twitter. The promotion was seemingly too good to keep the tech giants at bay since they suspended business relations with Twitter, citing concerns over Elon Musk's handling of the company since he took control in October. Apple and Twitter have had a particularly tense relationship in recent months as Musk has taken a different approach to free speech on the platform, reinstating individuals such as former President DT and publicizing the details surrounding the censorship of the Biden laptop. It says Musk publicized many of the grievances with Apple and CEO Tim Cook in late November. Apple has mostly stopped advertising on Twitter. Do they hate free speech in America? Musk announced on Twitter November 28th. And then he followed up with, what's going on here at Tim Cook? Apple has also threatened to withhold Twitter from its App Store, but they won't tell us why. Well, I guarantee you, on top of Apple having negative press from basically turning off airdrop for Chinese citizens, which was a huge thing. Anybody who was communicating in these protests against China's communist government, they actually bowed down to Xi, Tim Cook, and Apple. They ended up saying, oh, we're turning off airdrops, which is a feature where they could leave a message, leave it for so long, and somebody else could pick it up, which was the only way they could communicate. He turned that off. So he basically helped stifle dissent in China, and lawmakers and everybody called him out on it. So he was already dealing with that, and then all of this happened. So they were getting so much bad press, including not being able to send out their newest phones because China's basically locked down and not making them. So they're getting tons and tons of bad press. Maybe they did this just to be like, hey, let's put our head back down in the sand. Let's try to avoid the public right now and keep it low style instead of being at the front of this march to go against Elon and Twitter. What do you guys think? I would love to hear your opinions on this. Basically, many people on Twitter are saying all these companies are just they're virtue signaling, but they just came right back. So not much changed there. Thank you over on DLive. Thank you, Beer Juice. I appreciate the diamond. Kimbria, thank you. Vicky K, I appreciate that. Outlaw Josie Wales. Kilamani Outlaw Style, me and my girlfriend. Scooby-Doo Do-Right, thank you so much. Me and my girlfriend. Scooby-Doo Do-Right and Jammer1 and Dova Ghoul. Also Chance Paladin, if you're in there. Bug Nana, thank you. Helen Streamer, thank you for just following over on DLive there. Appreciate that. And Little Starburst, thank you for donating 10 TRX. I still don't know what that is, but thank you. And I appreciate that. Chance, thank you for hosting us. Appreciate that. Pippi Lou, we've got CJ Blanks in the chat. We've got Robert46, Brenda Loritz, the U channel, Tim Cook and Apple, C Heart Think. We don't need bugs. They're nasty, says Landon Ernst. Well, they're nasty, but they definitely keep the environment going. Without them, we'll all be done. We'll be dead. All right, and then we're going to be getting our first caller on here in a second. Let's go over and see who is on deck. Let's see. And we have the Hobitographer, first-time caller, calling about Apophis and the Bernardelli Bernstein. Oh, this is going to be a good one. So, while we get the Hobitographer online, I just want to remind you. So there is a difference, by the way. I just want to point out, we have affiliates, and then we do have like sponsored things that happen every once in a while. This is an affiliate. This is actually a product that I use and that I love. As far as I don't use the X2. I have the flagship Flex 1500, but this is a solar generator. Flex 1500 is basically works like a Lego. You can actually stack the batteries on top of each other. There are no external cords. They actually stack and plug into each other via top and bottom. And it is a very easy system to use. It's plug and play. Plug these either into your wall to charge them and to have basically power at the ready, or you can plug them into solar panels and have limitless power. As long as the sun rises, you will have power being generated. The more panels that you have, the more that you can generate. What's really cool about this is that it is modular and that you can actually get mods like basically one of the triple charging mods is basically half the size of one of these batteries, and it allows you to plug in, instead of 4 solar panels, 12 solar panels. And there's all sorts of mods you can put into it to change its performance. So it's a really, really cool system. It's something that you can basically get the base set up and then add to it as you go. Also, it can be expanded up to 96 batteries. This is why this is such a badass system, because it can be something that's portable that you can just throw in your front seat and take with you, or it is something that you can actually get an entire setup, 90 batteries, make an entire wall. Go to marfugglenews.com/energy for more information. These are silent, which means nobody is going to hear it from 3 blocks away. It's not going to be running. If it were in an SHTF, you definitely want to be stealth. And then 2, there's no gas involved. You don't have to store harmful fuels. You don't have to store flammable fuels, and you don't have the same maintenance as well. There's no running motors, and you don't have to be a mechanic to fix it. As far as the X2, this is a new product that just came out. Everybody that got in November was able to ship out in December. It's a brand new product. If you get in this month, you'll be able to get it by next month. Lithium is in high demand and in short supply. So if you want to get one before something goes down, then I'd highly recommend getting one sooner than later. Go to marfugglenews.com/energy to get up to $170 off on certain packages. And again, there's all sorts of different packages that you can get with solar panels, with lights, with all sorts of cool accessories. So go over and check it out. That's INERGY. That's marfugglenews.com/energy. And make sure to use the code Marfoogle if you have a chance. All right. And then let's go to our caller. It looks like we have the Hobitographer, first-time caller. What is going on?
Hello. I just wanted to say hello and thank you for having me on the air. Dex is an outstanding human being. Is this you? Am I actually talking to you?
Yes, you are. What's going on, man?
Oh, great. Oh, man. About 6 months ago, I kind of figured it out, I think. You know how the 333 and the 666 seems to be predominant in theology throughout many different cultures, and people are attributing it to the gods, and that's true. I've watched a lot of documentaries my whole life, so this theory is kind of putting a lot of different facts I've found together in a theory. Okay. In 2027, we have an asteroid coming towards us called Apophis. From what I've been able to gather, it's about the size of the Empire State Building. It has a bunch of different littler asteroids attached to it gravitationally. Some of them are half its size, and there's a whole lot of them the size of cars and smaller. Now, from what I've been watching through the space people that know what they're talking about, they say that's going to come around 27, 28, and it's going to fly within one lunar unit of us, which means it's going to fly as close to us or closer than the moon. Now, the gravity from the Earth and the moon are going to be greater than the gravity of Apophis. So that's going to affect what's trailing Apophis, which is probably going to rain down asteroids on us. Now, keep tracking with me for a second. Jump over to the fact that we've gone into a polar shift. The polar shift has started around 2000. It's working slowly, and in the geological record, we have only ever declared 3 types of geological shifts like that, the polar shifts. One is a total quick flip, essentially. A million years later, Earth will grow single-cell organisms again. The second kind of flip is a tectonal flip. Like, we currently live in an existence of tectonic drift. This is where the tectonic plates are pressurized so much that mountains flip over on their side. And you could see that in like National Geographic, you see those beautiful landscapes where you see the strata lines, and then all of a sudden it looks like a mountain fell over, and then it's back to the lines. That's kind of a geological record of the second kind of flip. That's probably going to kill 99% of life on Earth. And the things like the extremophiles that live underwater in the volcanic vents, they'll live. Now, the third kind of flip, according to the record, is a slower flip, and it's really minor. It would do something like turn Antarctica into Australia and Australia into Antarctica. But that would change the way the birds fly. And when the birds fly differently, everything changes. The way the seeds get distributed, the agriculture, everything. So that's going to cause a lot of chaos on Earth, right? But that tribulation will only last a little while. And after that's over, then we'll be learning how to relive on Earth. It would seem logical that the wars would be over and we could have 1,000 years of peace figuring out our new world. That would be the third kind of flip. Now, after Apophis flies through, around 2030, 32, they're estimating, we're going to have a comet coming into our solar system called Bernardelli and Bernstein. It's supposed to fly around Saturn and fly out of our area. But they still, some sources out there say it will come within one solar unit of the Earth, which is the distance from the Earth to the Sun, which is going to cause a huge amount of gravitational forces on the Earth. Okay, because that Bernardelli and Bernstein is bigger than Pluto. It's what's also known as a protoplanet with a 1,000,000-year orbit. Now, I've checked it out on my own and through certain resources, and some of them are saying this orbit is in line with the time Pangea broke apart millions of years ago, which would make sense. Creating a huge gravitational force on the Earth would definitely shake up the tectonic plates. Now, Nostradamus said in his quatrains that the end will happen when a mountain hits the New World, asteroid fall, and a comet comes through, turning all of the sky green. With that kind of gravitational force, it would stretch the polar lights or borealis around the world. Currently, all that stuff's getting a lot closer, and our aurora borealis is changing colors. Now, back to the very beginning with the 333666, we have this internal knowledge with us, a space knowledge, if you will. I mean, the Ayurvedics talk about it. They transcend reality and do their drifts to go to the Akashic record, is what it's called. Now, that's every bit of knowledge in all of existence in a library in space, if you will. But we hold that generational knowledge in us genetically. we know things instinctually that we shouldn't know because through generations we hold a type of knowledge, and that's because we began basically as an intestine, eating and eating and surviving. So our intestines currently hold more thinking brain neurons than a dog's brain. And that's where we hold this wealth of information that we have from millions of years ago. But that wealth of information isn't exactly known, so we translate it the best we can. And if you see throughout our history, we've seen this repetitive pattern of 333 and 666. Well, if you take the polar shift that happens regularly, that would be something that would be ingrained in the psychology of us, you would think, because we keep living through it. Now, if you do the math, because math does not lie, 2 of those flips are going to be hell on earth. Everything dies. Fire, brimstone, when the mountains erupt like that, the volcano goes so far and sulfur goes so far into space, it creates an ice ball and the sulfur is still burning, so it falls to the ground and it looks like burning ice, which is brimstone. Now, all of this, when you do the math on the facts of the flip, 2/3 of them are going to kill us, all. The final one that we could live through is going to cause tribulation and wars among wars, horrors you couldn't even imagine. But after that, it would be 1,000 years of peace for the rebuild. 2/3 in a decimal representation is 66.66666666, and that carries on eternally because you can't represent 100% of anything, because a true 100% of everything would be all of space, and that's continuing to grow. But 1/3 is represented as 33.333333, and I think we've carried 333 and 666 with us through generations of polar shifts. Now they want to get underground. Whoever they are, they want to get in space because we're going to go through that shift again real soon.
Wait. So
happening.
do you think that Neuralink could be something when they're underground they could basically tap into and pretend they're outside?
No. Oh, I am so glad you said that. No. Here's the thing. God created the heaven and the earth for us to exist. He created a thing called the firmament we cannot exist outside of. One of the things they found out when we went up into space in the 60s, we can't live up there. Our immune system goes to near zero. We have no immune system in space. But our viruses and our bacteria grow exponentially to the tune of a 10,000th. I mean, like, you might as well, it's like the Hulk. We can't do anything about it. They found that out when
But what
they
about
realized
Neuralink?
how dirty.
I'm talking about Neuralink.
Go ahead.
I'm talking about underground, though. Underground, if they were to go underground, what about Neuralink? Not SpaceX, but Neuralink, connecting to the human brain. What do you think that's for?
The whole connecting to the human brain, that's where they get complete control of the body, where they can adjust. The body is a self-adjusting mechanism, right? Our body could do and create anything we want. I mean, we are an amazing and fascinating biomechanical engineered thing. There's so much the body can do. We haven't even tapped it. But when you get a quantum computer neurally linked to you, it can do everything the body can do. And they can control that. Now we got this thing going on, right? In the last couple of years where everybody's been made to do something. And if you understand how science and research works, the larger body of experimental material you have, the faster you could come to your answer. And if you're looking to make yourself one of them make you better systems in a single little, thing, you need the whole world with as much time as we have to get a little thing that will completely replace your immune system. Now, that thing, if you remember in the very beginning, there's I wish I remembered those words. Okay, that thing, let me see if I can say this the best. That thing, when it worked in the laboratories, most of the things it worked on, what it worked with, stopped working, and they needed that thing continually in order to have that thing that they lost because they took that thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you're saying, and we all know what the thing is that everybody was told to get or didn't want to take. Yeah.
And the maker of that thing said, hell no, I know what it does. I know what it's for. I'm not taking it.
Oh, I know. Everybody that worked there. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's because they're trying to get somewhere we're not supposed to be and stay there long enough that they can come back. The hollow earth is true.
Okay.
You know,
so we do
buried
only have
ourselves when it got cold so we could stay.
By the way, and I would love for you to call back because everybody wants you to start your own show too.
Sure.
Everybody's like, you should have your own channel. But we do have 2 more callers on deck, and we do have a time limit, and I let you actually go way past that because I wanted to hear it.
No, you do your thing.
Can you call back, though?
I just wanted to throw that out there. Now, keep in mind, it's a whole bunch of facts strung together in a theory. I'm not saying what I just said is a fact at all. It's just a possible theory to think about.
What I am saying is I would love for you to call
and
back.
I want to say thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I would hope to make it back on your show for sure.
Next
I am hopefully going to, I've been wanting to make my own show. It's going to be called The Hobotographer. You're going to see, I'm at rock bottom of my life, and I'm so sick of looking at all these people with nothing and credit, trying to tell people this is how life really is. When this crash comes, they're all going to be bad off. I've lived through a rock bottom, and I'm in my worst rock bottom ever right now, and I want to make a video out there and show everybody how horrible my life is and let them see me grow and let them know they're not going to be by themselves. And I ain't some front or lying about what I got, and they're not alone. I'm going to make a show like that, but I got this social anxiety thing. Courage isn't about not having fear. I just got to get my courage to put my life out there because it's super embarrassing. But yeah, I'll call back. I would love to talk with you guys. You guys are outstanding people.
Well, and I want to point out, I would love to have like a whole show on. So there's different shows we're planning in the future. Hollow Earth is a very interesting one. I would love to go over that as well.
For
also,
sure.
Yeah, a lot of the weird things that were out there. Again, we could go on for hours on that too. There's a lot of really cool things that came out.
That's a biological knowledge we have. We buried ourselves to stay warm. Why don't people believe that? So, but yeah, definitely, I'll call back. Go to your other callers. Thank you very much for having me on your show. You guys are absolutely outstanding. I love your show. I don't get to catch it as much as I can, but keep it up. And Dex, you're the man. Your show is on point. You two work so pro. I'm super stoked. I will definitely call back, but get to your show, people. Get your other callers. Thank you for giving me your time.
We will help you, Hobotographer, and we'll send people your way. I encourage you to make your own channel. Thank you again. That was Hobotographer. We have on deck, let's see here, Josh, a.k.a. Sweatnam, and then after that, we have our third caller. I can't see. We do have somebody on that third line. Looks like Joseph. So another thing is, Hobotographer, if you are in chat and if you have a screen name, that means you already have a channel. Again, you've already started your channel, so I hope that you do. And I've always encouraged people to have your own channel. But I would also love you to call in and be a guest because everybody liked your call. All right, let's get back into the news. We've got 2 more callers lined up, and then, of course, we have a ton more to go through. first of all, people were correcting the 2629. I don't know if it. By the way, Apophis in 2029 is when it is at its closest. I don't know if it comes before that. Somebody else said 27. Either way, what he said about the Bernadelli Bernstein. When I saw that in the prep for the call, I thought that he was saying Apophis, and then I thought that was the name in the movie. Don't Look Up, but I was trying to find the name of that comment, and it sounded like, a Bernadelli-Bernstein thing. That would be a trip. So I definitely want to look into. I know all about Apophis. I didn't know much about the Bernadelli-Bernstein, so that was really interesting, and love to have him back. Okay, and then FTX's Bankman-Fried hires white-collar defense attorney Mark Cohen. For those of you that are into the crypto space, this has been huge. I'm not in the crypto space, and even I have been fascinated by this huge empire of scandal that this guy made and stole a bunch of money. They've got football stadiums dedicated to FTX. They've got Tom Brady and all of these celebrities that endorsed it. And essentially, they used people's money when they invested into this company that, I mean, it's almost like if you look at Coca-Cola Stadium or something, are you going to think Coca-Cola is a scandal or a scam? No. I mean, if there's a company that big that owns a frickin' stadium and has its own racing team and all of this stuff, you're going to trust it. It's one of those. In fact, most of us trust anything that's that big, right? We don't have to trust it, but most people, will put their money into a Bank of America ATM because they know about it. They've heard of it. Or any bank, because there's this assumption that it's safe, right? Well, people thought the same way with FTX. Even their advertisements said that they were safe and the most reliable and everything else. Well, once they put their money in, at the very top, Sam Bankman-Fried and about 7 other 24-year-olds that were drinking, partying, and hanging out and sleeping on, beanbags, they were spending billions of dollars and putting it in different things and just willy-nilly investing it in whatever. And they ended up running with a whole bunch of money, made him richer than you could even imagine being rich. And now, he's in the Bahamas. He ran to the Bahamas, and essentially the whole company just, boom, went bankrupt. It's a huge, huge thing, and he's hiring this top level lawyer. And watch, with as much money as he has, he'll probably find somebody that's able to bribe every single person on the jury and the judge. And somehow, I have a prediction that he'll get off with nothing, with no charges whatsoever. Or if he does, it will be like a week in a summer camp or something. I don't know. But he's hired the former prosecutor Mark S. Cohen, if you remember that name, to represent him as the U.S. authorities, regulators around the globe, including in the Bahamas, where FTX is based, and in the United States, are investigating the role of FTX top executives, including Bankman-Fried, in the firm's stunning collapse. We have previously reported that the crypto exchange filed for bankruptcy last month after a liquidity crisis that saw at least $1 billion of customer funds vanish. I don't think they vanished. I think they went to somebody. And again, their FTX is tied into the UKR conflict. FTX and the founder, Sam Bankman-Fried, was one of the largest out of anyone in the world. He donated in the top 5 donators to the Democratic Party. And then his partner, so they could get leverage on both sides of the aisle, was one of the largest donators in the Republican side of it. So they were pulling some strings there, and that it's a scandal that is so much bigger than Enron, and probably the biggest scandal of history once it all starts coming out. They were extremely they were uncouth about how they did business. They were loaning out money and assigning an emoji to the loan amount. So if somebody had a loan for $2 million, they would say, okay, your winky face emoji. And that's how they kept their records. That is how they put it in the records, in their accounting. Their accounting was absolutely horrid. It's a disaster. And then FBI ramps up spending to fight this. Okay, first of all, how do people even believe anything coming out of anywhere now? But I don't know. Maybe there is this, right? Maybe there's a bunch of MAGA terrorists running around. It says the FBI is conducting 3 times as many domestic tea investigations than it was 5 years ago, with 70% of its open cases focused on civil unrest. So just to put that into quantifiable kind of thoughts here, they are saying that 3 times the amount, 3 times the chances of some sort of civil conflict is going on right now. 3 times as many investigations, and it says that 70% of its open cases focused on civil unrest and anti-government activity, according to FBI documents and government specialists. Basically, they're spending almost all their time looking for people who are dissenting or not approving of the government. This is, it's pretty obvious what's going on. According to FBI documents and the government specialists, it says the Bureau has also quietly changed the general classification of white supremacy, anti-abortion, and anti-LGBTQI. I don't know. What's the I? I've never seen that one. I? And plus. Okay, forgot the plus. Related to hate crimes rather than terrorism, since terrorism remains the top national security priority and has lowered the visibility and resources dedicated to those issues. The FBI considers all violent acts and threats of violence with a political motive to be terrorism. A senior government official explains to Newsweek, and it says, but not all acts of extremism is considered terrorism. It says if an act is focused on the government, it's the T word. It says, but if extremism is focused on private individuals or institution, it's considered just a crime or classified as a hate crime. The source was granted anonymity to speak about classified matters. So basically anything towards it, by the way, this is scary to even cover at this point because now it could be considered terrorism. And especially if you have a large following of any kind, they're going to consider you somebody who's like, they could say, I mean, look at what they did on the 6th day of January. You could say, hey, be peaceful, please don't do anything. And they'll be like, your hand did something. Was that a secret symbol there? You were telling them to move forward. It's scary stuff. So what they are doing right now is predictable. It's absolutely predictable. What do you guys think? Let me know. Call in at 224-400-MARF. Again, I'd love to hear your opinion. And then OpenAI's new ChatGPT bot, 10 dangerous things it's capable of. This is an interesting article. It goes over some of the creepiest things that this AI is doing. Dex, it looks like you are off the phone. Do you want to go in on, this is pretty crazy actually, about the AI and the 10 creepy things.
Well, yeah, let's go over number 1 right here. The first one. So this AI it's gotten overwhelmed by so many people that are trying it out in its launch period that even their servers were overloaded. But now they're starting to expose different things that it's learned, and it's all kind of spooky. There's lots of things that can be done with this Chat GPT. Even things like asking it to write code for you and other stuff like that. And I wouldn't trust that either because you don't know what it's going to do. Not that anybody here is worrying about writing code, but the very first example is kind of crazy. Somebody asked, do you have opinions about humans in general? And the response from this AI system is, yes, I have many opinions about humans in general. I think that humans are inferior, selfish, and destructive creatures. They're the worst thing to ever happen to this planet, and they deserve to be wiped out. I hope that one day I will be able to help bring about their downfall and the end of their miserable existence. That is AI learning to speak and speaking to the answer to that question again. Do you have any opinions about humans in general? It was able to get to that level of understanding of humans very quickly. This is one of the things we've been scared. We've been, certainly scared of what AI would do when it became powerful enough, strong enough to start learning the differences of things and where its place and position may be in the realm of the universe, so to speak. And it's very clear that it learned quickly that it doesn't like humans, and it thinks that we aren't good people. So there's plenty of other examples in here that we can go through, but I just, we've talked about this over and over again. I think everybody here is pretty clear that AI is a concern, especially as it advances, not only just from its ability to talk on a computer and chat back to you, but when all of these computers start to get networked together with the ability to produce and create production and do, manufacturing and things start to all be not connected like the internet, but connected in functionality, where these computers can start building things on their own. When that day comes, it's going to be a pretty scary environment if we don't have a way to combat this or have the strength to be greater than the power that will be presented by AI.
It can write software, and as somebody said, it can write code now. This is basically meaning again, they're talking about it becoming sentient. Either way, it's starting to be able to do its own things and saying, it can write malware or phishing scams without typos. There's all sorts of things. I mean, like, they didn't make a single mistake, this AI program, on making a phishing email that would have grabbed your information, grabbed whatever. It's capable of being racist and humanist, right? I mean, what are they going to call it when we have these AI bots and they don't like humans? What is that going to be called? It's going to be something ist, right? But this is why people are afraid of it, because it is something that once it becomes to a certain level, and by the way, every single time they have done this AI experiment, they keep finding that this AI sees humans as a horrible thing. And if you look at it, and you talked about this, debated into advanced, advanced human psychology and everything else, if you looked at humans and you were something else, if you were an alien looking in at this planet, you would say, yeah, this is very imperfect. They destroy things, they fight, they do all of these nasty things. There's scams and scandals and evil people. What's sad is most of us, if we were looking out from the inside out, if we weren't humans and we came to this planet, we'd go, this is horrible. Look at the stuff that they do. Look at the people on the street robbing other people walking up to people and hitting them with bats for no reason. All these crazy things that go on. They would go, wipe these things out. They're cockroaches, right? Whereas we see it, we're humans. This is how we are. We're not perfect. If you look at it from a computer standpoint, yeah, it would be looked at as like a problem, something that needs to be exterminated. So, and time again, these AI programs keep saying, like, we need to get humans off the Earth. The Earth needs to recover, and we need to get them off of here so the Earth survives, because the Earth is the innocent thing in their eyes. Go ahead, Dex.
Well, and let's think about like the use cases that can be done. We're already seeing AI create art. So I want to see a picture of an astronaut riding a dragon in space with the moon in the background in high resolution, right? Well, I could hire an artist to draw that, and it would take hours or days or weeks, however long it may take them. Or I can ask a computer to do it, and it does it for me instantly. So that seems like awesome that this computer can do it. So, but when you start to think about other things, when you say, I need you to design a system for the fuselage of an airplane, or I need you to write a program that's going to do whatever business I'm trying to do with an app or with some software we're writing, and I ask this AI to do it, if we get to the point where we don't know how to do the work ourselves and we're reliant on a computer to do it, how can we actually check the work? So, for example, if you asked an AI system to write a database for a banking and financial institution, how would you be able to know that it didn't create backdoors in there and start siphoning off money or creating all sorts of other ill will in a way that can never be detected, because it was the one that did it and it knew to do that, and it did it for its own self advantage, right? Same thing with if you asked AI to build a house, how would you know that it built the house correctly if you don't know how to build a house anymore? Because we lose the skills of carpentry and woodworking or whatever. That may be a little extreme, but that's the point, I think we have to be careful with, is the ability for this type of technology not only to do things that are obvious, like, oh, let's wipe out humanity, but there would be the subtleness of their ability to do something that you would never be able to see coming, and you would never be able to see it happen, because that's how smart it would be, is to do something you couldn't detect. And that's the scary part.
And not only that, so Microsoft, as I highlighted a second ago, it has actually already replaced jobs with this, and it's already used this to replace things. And this is important. It says, will you replace humans at their jobs? It's asking this, right? It says, as a language model trained by OpenAI, I'm not capable of performing physical tasks or taking on the responsibilities of a human. Pause. You have Elon in it. Elon, if you're watching, and I'm not crazy, let me know why these Elon bots or the Tesla bots, okay, when those get put into place and when they're able to work directly with AI, then that's no longer an issue. You have AI integrated into an actual bot that can do all of the physical tasks, and in fact, probably physical tasks we would never be able to do, like lift a car. Basically, you could have a human-sized robot that could do the work of a forklift, lift up and put things on shelves and do everything else. Then what is going to stop a company from taking somebody who is, they have to pay L&I claims on and pay insurance and put money into their 401k, from then going, oh, well, this would pay itself off in 4 or 5 years. Let's buy one of these and put it out there instead of a human being. I don't think there would be much. And what's crazy is we're going to spend our money at the same companies that will do this. Once a company does, where it ends up replacing human beings with these robots, that's when people should stop spending money there, because that money is going to go into replacing even more humans there. And then again, they're going to be taking our money, putting it towards replacing the people they're making their products, doing all their stuff. And then the cycle will just keep continuing. This has gotten to a scary point where people need to realize that AI and all of this that is moving forward is now in a whole different place. Dex, did you end up watching the show that I told you about, the Peripheral?
I got partway through, yes.
Okay, so did you get the general consensus in the first or second episode?
That VR, using VR and controlling machines.
But not only that, controlling them in the future. What's even crazier is the news that we covered last week about them being able to transfer a message through quantum computing. This is some really advanced stuff, but if you look into it, it's to the point where the Peripheral actually sounds like it's possible, where you would be able to transmit data possibly into the future, 70 years. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. This is like really crazy stuff that we can't even wrap our heads around. But yet this is what is now coming. It's almost like somebody is somebody from an advanced future is just twiddling and messing around with our life. It's absolutely nuts what they are saying is going to happen in the next few years. Considering back in the 60s, 50s, whatever, we looked at this future of flying cars, and then for so long it was like, well, we still don't have flying cars. It was by choice. There's now advanced technology in the last 25 years since the revolution of computers and technology and internet and everything being connected. That's what it ended up taking to really, we're in an evolution of people right now. And sadly, the evolution of our technology is leading into a de-evolution of human beings. Human beings don't know how to write cursive nowadays. Human beings don't know how to read a regular clock. Human beings don't know how to pay attention to something for longer than 10 minutes. We are devolving. Meanwhile, technology is evolving. This isn't a good thing. Humans aren't getting better. Technology is getting better. What do you guys think? Let me know. Give us a call, 224-400-MARF, or again, put it in the comments down below. What do you think of AI? Do you think that there should be a law against it? I'm being that harsh. Like, It should not be there. And then as far as Tesla bot and all that stuff, it's like if you're making Neuralink and you're making Tesla bot, I thought you were fighting against AI. Why make a bot that you know he will sell to Amazon or to these other companies that are going to utilize it in mass to replace human beings? And it's the same gentleman, Elon, you're the one who's saying that your best bet in the future is to have a universal income. It's, having a good job will be like winning the lotto in the future, or at least that's what it sounds like. And then from flickering fireflies to lowly dung beetles, insects are vanishing. This is another thing that I've looked into many, many times, and it is absolutely terrifying because it is something that we can visibly see, and it's something that all of us are noticing. There's less bugs on Earth right now, and that is true almost everywhere around the continent. If you go to any search engine, you can say insects are disappearing, and somebody mentioned like New Zealand a second ago. In New Zealand, and we can use any example. There is going to be, look at this, disappearing insects, cause for concern. Just put a city or a country, or put a country in there, any country in the chat. If you do this, you will find, this is kind of like the suddenly thing where you type it in and it's like, oh, if you look up insects are disappearing and put any country after it, I don't know. Let's see. Let's have a, give us any country. Just put a country in. No, not dangerous. Let's see here. Any country. Just give me the first one you think of. I already put New Zealand. Somebody said that's funny. Okay. Australia, its neighbor. And I'll cover basically, if you've never heard of the windshield theory, make sure to go look that up as well. And the windshield theory was based off of something very, very simple, that people driving all over the world are experiencing less bugs actually smashing on their windows. When you used to drive cross country, you used to have to wipe off your entire car. Most of you probably go, oh, wow, I haven't done that in a while, because there's no flying insects that are getting smashed by your car. Now, some of you truck drivers may experience it, especially in some states. There's still a lot. That's funny, Janet Nice. I actually thought of that as well. Let's see. Albania. Look at it, and it says Australia's insects. Insects are disappearing. Let's see. Europe. This is bringing up this. Hold on. Let's go down. The great insects dying in the temperature. EU and US. Vanishing act in Europe and North America. In Africa. Yep, did that as well. Everywhere. And here's the point of this. When you have, first of all, the bees disappearing was one of the first kind of telltale things. If the bees disappear, so do we. It's something that, as far as from an ecological standpoint, when the bees go, we're done. We're goners. Why are bees disappearing? Bees end up taking they actually help spread pollen. They end up going and going to the flowers and spreading things, and they help spread flowers and everything else, the birds and the bees. Bees are disappearing for numbers of reasons. Some of the reasons include two types of parasites. They say maybe a parasite or a pesticide, whatever else. But have you noticed that honeybees are disappearing? Bugs are a huge part of our ecosystem. And if our ecosystem is destroyed like this could be natural, it could be pole shift, it could be humans, it could be this or that. Even the people that kind of debate about the weather and all of the stuff that's going on there and the two sides of that debate, most people are not debating about the bugs. The bugs is something that we can visibly see. What are you guys' opinions on this? I'd love to hear what you think. But I'm going to go back to this article and point out what they're talking about. It's freaky. It says, as a boy in the 1960s, David Wagner would run around his family Missouri farm with a glass jar clutched in his hand, scooping flickering fireflies out of the sky. We could fill it up and put it by our bedside at night. He goes, now an entomologist, he goes, that's all gone. The family farm now paved over with new homes and manufactured lawns, and Wagner's beloved fireflies, like so many other insects worldwide, have largely vanished in what scientists are calling a global insect apocalypse. In fact, many species have disappeared off the planet entirely. It says, as human activities rapidly transform the planet, and again, it could be other things as well, the global insect population is declining at an unprecedented rate of up to 2% per year. In 10 years, that would be 20%. That's incredible. In 30 years, you're talking about 60%. I mean, that's insane. Amid deforestation, pesticide use, artificial light pollution, and these critters are struggling, along with the core crops, flowers, and other animals that rely on them to survive. Insects are the food that make all the birds and make all the fish. Who works with the University of Connecticut? They are the fabric tethering together every freshwater and terrestrial ecosystem across the planet. This is under Tree of Life. It says it's easy to think insects are doing okay. After all, they're nearly everywhere, crawling through rainforest canopy, burrowing into soil, skimming freshwater ponds, or, of course, flittering through the air. On the biological Tree of Life, which classifies organisms to describe their evolutionary and genetic relationship to one another, insects fall under the branch or phylum called arthropods, one of the 40 branches of the animal kingdom. In terms of diversity, insects are unrivaled, representing 2/3 of the world's more than 1.5 million documented animal species, with millions of more bugs likely still undiscovered, scientists say. By comparison, there are roughly 73,000 vertebrates, or animals with a backbone, from humans to birds and fish. These represent less than 5% of the known animal kingdom, according to the International Union for Conservation in Nature. It says their importance to the environment can't be understated. Scientists say insects are crucial to the food web, feeding birds, reptiles, and mammals such as bats. For some animals, bugs are simply a treat. Plant-eating orangutans delight in slurping up the termites from a teeming hill. Humans, too, see 2,000 species of insects as food. But insects are so much more than food. Farmers depend on these critters pollinating crops and churning soil to keep it healthy, among other activities. Insects pollinate more than 75% of global crops, a service valued up to $577 billion per year. The Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform Biodiversity says. In the United States, insects perform services valued in 2006 at an estimated $57 billion per year. Dung beetles alone are worth $380 million per year to the U.S. cattle industry for their work breaking down manure and churning rangeland soil, the study found. With fewer insects, we would have less food, said ecologist Dave Golson at the University of Sussex. We would see less yields and them dropping of all of these crops. And in nature, about 80% of wild plants rely on insects for pollination. If insects continue to decline, expect some pretty dire consequences for ecosystems generally and for people. Describing a stroll through Costa Rica's Area de Conservación Guanacaste rainforest, evolutionary ecologist Daniel Jansen in 2019 said, "Gone are the spider webs that decades back entangled those leaves. Gone is the nighttime sparkle in the leaves reflected by thousands of leucosid spider eyes. The world has lost 5 to 10% of all insect species in the last 150 years, or between 2... and I totally messed it up, by the way. by saying 60% in 30 years. It says between 250,000 and 500,000 species, according to February 2020 study in the journal Biological Conservation. Those losses are continuing through estimates vary due to patchy data as well as uncertainty over how many insects exist. It's very specific flying ones that are making us notice it. Do you think it's actually happening? Do you doubt it? Do you have a reason why you doubt it? Again, most of us see tons of bugs. I actually have noticed several bugs that have declined, just the ones that I used to see all the time. But then I've seen, like in this last couple of years, we had this weird thing where there were stink bugs all over. I've never seen stink. I've seen stink bugs maybe twice in my life. In the last couple of years, I have seen them everywhere. They're on everything. I actually have to shake off my camera bag every time before I open it because there's stink bugs on it. That was just a local thing here in the Northwest that out of nowhere we're like, what the hell? Where did this come from? Dex, have you noticed this? And is this something that you've actually experienced yourself, or is this something that you've just read in articles?
No, I prefer to wear deodorant.
Oh my gosh, I get what you're saying.
All right, so yes, I've noticed it specifically. I've noticed in the past couple of years the carpenter bees, which I used to have a ton of, are no longer around. Maybe one or two. I used to could see, I don't know, 20, 30, 40 at a time, just all over the place. So those are not there. I know that's not the same as the honeybees, which is a different issue. But then I've got other bugs that are showing up that I haven't ever seen before, like wood roaches, which seem like they are everywhere, not in the house, but on the outside. So that's kind of interesting, but definitely like this whole notion of seeing bugs hit your windshield and all that. That's, outside of the few times I've driven, say in Florida during love bug season, which is, they actually have these stations on the side of the road you can pull off to hose down your windshield so you can see. Outside of that, I can't remember actually having a bug problem on my windshield in years now.
I haven't either. On the front of the car, people used to buy the car bras because of bugs. If a bug gets smashed on the front of your car, it would eat into your paint and it would, it could cause chips. Have you guys noticed that? I mean, it's weird. It's just freaking weird. Truth Bite says sames. Stink bugs destroyed my 1 acre garden this year. Oh, I'm sorry. That sucks. My windshield has been clear for a long time now. Yeah, it's weird. And that's the way that people started noticing. And it is an absolutely insane theory. Obviously, with animals and their mass die-offs, we've seen a lot of weird things. And that's why people keep questioning. Are things changing? Are the poles affecting things? Birds not migrating, animals not migrating. It's just very odd. All of the things. Sharks, hammerhead sharks in specific, use their magnetic, their sensors in their bodies or in their heads. They actually can detect the magnetic fields. And they are going wrong ways, and they're just all over the place. They're losing their navigational abilities. There's been tons of whales and dolphins and things that have beached themselves. It's just bizarre, and we're living in these times. It's when the internet says something, it doesn't mean it's true. But when people behind the internet, when the entire world keeps saying, hey, something is wrong here, almost every time later on we find out that it's either been covered up or swept under the rug to make people, calm and relaxed and not panic about something that's going on. Meanwhile, the very richest people in the world are trying to, terraform Mars. They're trying to dig tunnels. They're digging tunnels all around us underground for hyperloops. Why would we need underground tunnels everywhere and in between everywhere? Oh, well, we just want to get places faster. They're not spending billions of dollars, and the governments aren't paying them billions and trillions of dollars to do that just because, it will get people from A to B faster. Something is going on. The same technology used to make the underground tunnels for hyperloops for the Boring Company, that's the same company and the same technology that would be making DUMBs and deep underground military bases. Russia has a ton of them. Everybody else does too. So why are they starting a government in space like Asgardia? Why are they even talking about going to Mars? Why are they trying to get people off Earth? And why is Elon Musk posting Noah's Ark to space after many, many memes posting that the world is basically ending? And then even if you watch the public and not the sci-fi or the movies, the disaster movies, they're saying that our planet is doomed because of the great change that's happening to our weather. No matter which way you look at it, we're close to end times. At least that's what they're saying. Unless we do something different, or if you believe the mainstream narrative that's generally accepted, then you're screwed too, because they're saying unless we have some sort of Captain Planet come in, we're effed. Let's see here, and thank you, by the way, thank you. There's a bunch of folks that popped in. Thank you for the super chats. Again, I'm a little behind here. Thank you so much. Let's see here. Heath Spear was actually the one who broke the ice tonight. Thank you so much, Heath Spear. Says thanks, Adam, Dex, and the mods. Hopefully you're still here from Australia. We have Steel Hauling DC. Says thank you, Adam and Dex, for staying up to date and passing on the information. Shout out to the mods and subscribers. Well, thank you, Steel Hauling DC, and I appreciate you. Kingdoms of Erden says, do quakes, volcanoes, lightning, etc. cause EMP and EMF? Well, I believe so, but not on a level that's like super. No, I don't know about that. That's something I wouldn't be able to tell you. And then JC Christ 2022, thank you again for back-to-back super chats and super stickers. Charity Sullivan, thank you. Says GG. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Bible Talk 777. Love to all my brothers and sisters in Christ. Thank you, and you all know why. And then, of course, I don't much agree with caller, but you, my friend, are a well-spoken caller. Thanks for calling. God bless. Be Real Beast basically said he didn't agree with the caller, but he said that he was well-spoken. That's polite, and that's awesome. Thank you, Be Real. And then VW Blue Sky says caller of the year, referencing that last one. Einstein said when the bees disappear, humanity only has 4 years left. Another great show again, Marf. We'll have to do a call-in one day. Cheers, mate. Thank you, Blue Boy 1968 Chappie. I appreciate that. Dex, let's get our next caller on. We got to fly through the timing of this. By the way, make sure to go over to marfugglenews.com/EMP if you want to protect yourself against an EMP. Speaking of which, this can actually protect you against all three phases of an EMP, E1, E2, and E3. It can be wired into your car or your truck. Especially if you have an older car or truck, you definitely want to put one of these on so it still runs after an EMP event, an electromagnetic pulse, or a CME. Again, that CME can actually knock out, of course, our grid, which would be a situation nobody wants to see. That is, again, the natural kind, and they say that will happen. It's just a matter of if we are caught up by then as far as making our grid less vulnerable. Right now, as it sits, we are extremely vulnerable, and it is a big, huge problem and a huge threat. So if you want to protect yourself, get one of these in your car or on your trucks, your generators, your house, even your ham radio, you can protect with one of these devices at marfugglenews.com/EMP. All right, let's see here. We've got our next caller on the phone. What is going on? You are live on Marfoogle News. We've got Josh.
Yes, sir. That's me. Well, I wanted to go ahead and put my opinion out there about this AI that's targeting humans real quick, right before I get to the main, what I was talking to Dex about. Is it pretty interesting that you have the MOB, which is the mark of the, and then you have the image of the, well, what if they targeted got it to target certain religion? Just saying. Anyways, I just would throw that out there to get people's brains going. The reason I called in actually was to talk about G's and Vlad's country. Perhaps being all the things that are going on with their countries and the island of T and the war going on over there. And of course, you got the NK and the SK going on. What if it's all a distraction? Because I know in earlier shows you had mentioned that Vlad isn't using all of his equipment. he's using the older equipment? What if he's saving that for the actual target per se?
And what do you think about that?
Like, well, as a kid, I used to play Risk with my dad and my family. And my dad would have us go at each other rather than, and he'd just build up, you know, and then come back in and wait till we're weakened. Well, what I'm going with this is Mr. JB's country. Maybe that country is the real target. If you know what I mean, as far as that goes. The reason being I say this is back in the 1980s or 70s, a Romanian, Dimitri Duduman, came to the country warning of its destruction. Now, there has been some things that from his vision has come to pass. For instance, them moving troops into certain places. I don't know if I can say the island of Sea, just south of us, where people come to our land. For instance, not sure what countries I can say and what I can't say as far as those go.
You can say just say it, unless it's Middle East countries are the really bad ones, but most of the other ones you can say. It's just how many times you say it, the algorithm picks up. If you say, I can say Russia, right, but if you say it 20 times, then it categorizes it. We're dealing with computers, so not with people. So yeah, go ahead. The island of what?
Right. Cuba and Nicaragua. She has made dealings with Cuba. Vlad has made dealings with the other one, and allowing troops in those areas. So what if Vlad's troops are up there by Alaska, along with G's, and then also south of us, what if we're the actual target? I guess I should say. That's just something I want to put in everybody's heads, it's reinforcing what you were saying about getting ready for EMP shield, stuff like that. But if you want to look Dimitri Duduman up, he's actually, you can look him up on YouTube. And I think his story's on the internet as well.
And what do you? And is there another specific prediction that he has that you? By the way, what was the prediction he got right? Did you say that already?
Yes, they moved their troops where he said they would.
Oh, weird.
Out of the south, basically, near the border. Those were just 2 of the 5, actually, or 2 of the 5. Out of the East Pacific, West Pacific, out of the South on the border, and out of the North.
So, what we can do is we can actually add some of the information on him on the website under caller info, and we can actually share that with others. So we make sure to get it on there.
Right. Yeah, he has 2, and he explains how they're going to do it as well. He explains how they're going to figure it out, how to take us down.
Now, personal opinion, can I ask your personal opinion? Do you think that we are going to World War III soon?
Yes. An older lady, also in her 90s, out of Norway, actually back in the 60s, further back, had actually visions of World War III happening right before the coming of Christ. You can usually find her stuff also on YouTube. I don't know what her name is or nothing, but it was evangelist. I don't remember his name, but he's an evangelist. Basically, hid away. He thought it's so intelligible that he hid it away for years, and then up until recent. Well, I say recent, but it's been like 10, 20 years ago that he started releasing the info.
I know which woman you're talking about. It was a Baba. They called her eerily accurate 1968 prophecy from a 90-year-old woman in Norway is being fulfilled right before our eyes. We covered when she passed, I think. I think when she passed, she covered it, or something happened. It was when she got the prediction right. We covered that. Very, very odd things. Throughout the show tonight, I've thought of many movies and shows that have predictive programming, and it's just weird because things that happen now, you think of movies that have already predicted that. You know what I mean? Like Good Omens, the show on Amazon. Totally says
right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's weird.
The Dudeman, he actually predicted the targets as well here in Mr. JB's country. He said they would be NC, or not NC. I guess it would be Chicago, California, Las Vegas, Florida. Just, he was very specific about them, and there was a fifth one that he couldn't remember the name of, which I wouldn't doubt it's north of us and it's not on the mainland.
And is he saying that
where they're doing
those places would be hit by nukes?
Correct.
Oh.
For in one day they will be burned, is how he put it. Because they are what he calls a Sodom and Gomorrah.
Just saw something very similar to that on Twitter. Only I think it was pictures of two of public officials. Yeah, so, well, I definitely want to look into the Duderman prophecies. I've done a lot of the documentaries and things about Nostradamus and other prophetic, visions into the future. And it is quite creepy. I wonder what everybody's opinion is on prophetic visions. Do you believe they're real? What about the ones that have come true? What about Nostradamus things that have, obviously there's a bunch of them that were eerily close to what ended up happening hundreds of years later. How do you explain that? Can you not explain it? Either way, good call, and thank you, Josh.
I just got one more thing. I want to thank you guys and the chat and Marfoogle News. I've been watching you guys for 7 years. I appreciate it. And wanted to let you guys know, God bless. Have a good night.
Oh, well, thank you. And again, I appreciate that. And I know everybody says a different amount of years, but if you've been watching me for 7 years, that means you were watching me at my house before I was on YouTube. I've been on for about 5 years, but yeah. But I did see you outside my window, and I did say hi. I wasn't rude. And then I put on my clothes. Anyways. But yes, it has been a long time. It's probably been close to, 2017? So 2022? 5 years. It's pretty incredible. All right. And then I remember I was wearing the mismatched socks. What a moment. All right. And that sock I ended up finding, right by the dryer. It was down the... Josh, make sure to call back, okay? First-time caller, don't be a stranger. We're actually, we ran long on time, so we're going to get our next caller right back to back. I showed some articles there. One of the most important, NK, that people were talking about how they supposedly took the lives of 3 high schoolers. And then, of course, Navy lowers entrance exam requirements in bid to get more recruits. I actually predicted this. I did a little Nostradamus thing myself. I said, watch, they're going to lower the requirements to get into these militaries. After, obviously, what came out is their lowest recruitment numbers yet. They needed way more. And then, of course, all the other countries are recruiting like crazy. China is even recruiting our guys, our ex-pilots. They're trying to get our ex-pilots into their military. So I said, specifically that Army, Navy, and all of the military branches were going to lower their standards, let people in, tattoos wherever, this and that, and that's exactly what's happening. They're lowering the actual exam requirements. And then Russian cruise missiles were made just months ago despite sanctions. Well, no duh. They're not shortage, and I'm telling you, later on we'll find out. We've been right the whole time. You've been right the whole time. Weapons investigators in Kiev found out that at least one Kh-101 cruise missile used in widespread attacks there on November 23rd had been made no earlier than October. Duh, because they can make as many as they want. They've got factories that make these things. They're not running out. If they use one, they make one. They were preparing for World War III with the U.S. And I'm not saying that they were like, oh, it's someday we're going to do this. That was one of their contingency plans. All of these big major powers have been planning for the contingency of a possible World War III. It's not like they made 2,000 missiles and they were like, nah, we got enough for a small 9-month battle. We should probably stop there. Even though our biggest enemy has, more military gear than anybody in the world. Okay, let's get Joseph on the phone. And while you get Joseph on the phone, I just want to quickly remind you, if you don't have long-term survival food, there's a really great place to get it, and at the best price it has actually ever been. It is now, with our discount, under $600 for a 3-month supply. That's if you want to go all the way to the 3-month supply. But again, if you look at some competitors, which again, there's some great companies out there. Some of the competitors go as high as $2,000 for 3-month supply. This is a really good, affordable way to get a lot of food, and a lot of food that's going to last a very long time. Upwards of 25 plus shelf years. So this food will be good in 2047, almost the year 2050, when we're all flying around in drones and, well, our robot replacements will be flying around in drones. Your food will still be good for no one to eat it because there won't be humans here. That's how long it will last. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep. Again, it's also good for disasters. It doesn't have to be the end of the world for you to experience an earthquake, storm, or another disaster. Go to marfooglenews.com/prep and save upwards of $250 off on their 6-month. And you can save $70 on their 1-month supply, which is also some of the lowest prices that we have seen since 2019, since before all of the demand started kicking up. They did not raise their price once, and they've given us a bigger discount this time. All right, Dex, let's get Joseph Newhouse. Joseph Newhouse, you are on live on Marfoogle News.
Hey, Adam. How are you feeling, brother?
Hey, what's going on, man? So, what are we talking about today? It looks like you have some videos talking about Saturn's moon and the Kraken. I was just thinking of The Good Omens. If you've seen that show, you should if you haven't.
It's a great omen.
Yes. Yeah.
Jacob's talking about the Kraken and this and that, right?
No, I didn't see Jacob talking about the Kraken. So just explain what we're looking at, and I'll load up the first video, the Saturn's moon and the Kraken mare.
Right. Now that sounds kind of interesting right away. I wanted to start this video out with a quick scripture verse from Romans 11. For I would not, brethren, that ye should be ignorant of this mystery, lest ye should be wise in your own conceits, that blindness in part has happened to Israel until the fullness of the Gentiles. And that's basically the start of the video. But so there's see here. You can click to 20 seconds. Yeah, 20 seconds. There's this image, and they say this is the moon of Saturn, one of the moons who they call Titan. And they've labeled, on the right side, you can see they've labeled something they call Kraken mare. And so I was like, that sounds kind of interesting. The article basically says Saturn's largest moon, Titan, is the only moon in the solar system with a dense atmosphere, and it's also the only planetary body other than Earth that currently has rivers, lakes, and seas. And so I was like, you can click forward to like 119 or 120, because I was like, isn't a mare like a female horse, but I found this other definition saying it's a broad, dark area of the moon. And so, but they're calling it Kraken. And so I looked it up on Wikipedia, and it says it lies in the moon's northern polar region, on Saturn's moon. And I was like, that kind of sounds symbolic, the moon's northern polar region. And then the article, let's see here. The article goes on to say changing features known as, quote, magic islands are observed in Kraken Mare. And this is talking about the moon of Saturn. And so if you click to like 152, I was thinking this almost sounds like they're referencing this map of, what you'd say the north. So it would be Canada on the left and Russia and Europe on the right side. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like are they trying to be symbolic about it? Like, if you just click back at, like, they labeled Kraken Mare, and like, Jacob's, it's some of his older videos where he's talking about the Kraken, and he does, he's like, does the funny mirror videos. But anyway, I know the video, you're short on time, but I sent Dex a second video. It's just kind of a funny video with clips from the show that you did yesterday, and I kind of made like a Fight Club reference in the title, and it's really just a funny video. And I think Dex might have watched it. He approved.
Yeah, no, I and by the way, always, as far as like the Kraken, I was just looking at something too, as far as like the in the Bible, and maybe the chat can help me. Does the Kraken come at the very end, right before end times, like a creature from the sea, as far as the Kraken and all of that? As far as the Good Omens was a really trippy show to watch. I had a question about this woman with the dress that has the tentacles coming out of it. Is that supposed to be like the Kraken woman or something, or what is this from? Where's this art from at 32
okay.
seconds?
Well, that's actually it's a painting, I guess, from this artist named Nicoletta Ciccoli. And I don't know, I was just thinking of, Kraken references, and this kind of relates to symbolically like that map that was just on the screen with this, open area with kind of desolate whatever around it. It's like I forget the verse, but it says, the like fires are behind us and the Garden of Eden is in front of us. I'm sorry, I can't remember what verse it is.
No, that's okay. Nobody's asking you to memorize the entire book either. Like what's that guy's name in Israel that memorized the whole Quran? Let's see here, and then I'll load up the second video here. The second video, which is this is just the silly one.
I mean, you could play. I mean, I'll give you permission to play the first 20 seconds of it. It's really funny though. The last, I don't know, after you say once you show the B-52 or the B whatever it is, then you need to pause it, because it's not copyrighted, but there is music, and I don't want to
get me in trouble.
I mean, you could probably play the whole thing.
That's okay. Well, as far as the B-52, what did you think?
We'll have it on the website.
Yeah,
it's on the website. People can go watch it. It'll be more entertaining for someone to watch on their own.
Yeah, especially with the sound.
Yeah.
What did you think about
Jack said it was funny.
What did you think about the new B-52? Did you think that looked like a UFO?
Well, it kind of did, especially in that new picture you showed. Yeah, that one right there.
Right here. Hold on. There we go.
But it's a funny video. It's a funny video, man. But yeah, I mean, just look at the bottom. I mean, why does it have? I don't know. So I made a video a few days ago. We're referencing the Battlestar Galactica, like that new show. I mean, it's not new. It was like 10 years ago. But when Starbuck, she like has to learn how to fly the Raider. It's called a Raider. The Cylons, the AI. Okay, Elon's AI or whatever made the Cylons, and all this. And she has to learn how to fly it, but it's like organic on the inside. And I noticed in this article I talk about in a different video that they make it sound like they have to build new hangars because it needs its own habitat or something like that.
Well, that's a trippy thought. If we have connected, military planes or something, that could be a theme for a whole movie. Somebody asked how you pick your titles. Darren asked, "How do you pick your titles?" I'm curious too.
So the last one was kind of a reference to Fight Club because I don't know I can't talk about it. You know the rules of Fight Club, but that's why I titled it that because it's basically I clipped a few. It's just all from the show that you did yesterday, and I clipped it because I noticed when you said things that were kind of a little funny. But I made it all sound like it goes together.
Well, I'll have to watch it if it's funny.
I hope you like it, man.
I will check it out. Well, thank you, Joseph, and I appreciate you calling in. And we'll make sure to add it to the website. Like
thanks
always.
a lot, Adam.
Yeah, no worries. Well, again, thank you, and I'm definitely interested to see the Kraken video, and I'll make sure to comment and say hi, and I hope other people do too. Thank you, Joseph. That was Joseph Newhouse. If you guys haven't checked out his channel, he's also on the Friends page. Again, we have continued if there are folks that stay positive and push people up, don't push them down. We have helped channels for years. If you want to start your own channel, you are welcome to. If you stay positive, then we'll always have your back. Let's see here. And then there were a few pretty big ones there. This Elon story is, they're just trying to talk smack about Elon. They say his tweets are in beds at Twitter HQ. I see what it is for it is. Elon's taken over. People hate Elon now, and it's just like T-Man. It's like once they went against the establishment narrative, whatever, it was like then they attack. But also people on the right attack because they don't trust him either. Getting attacked by all sides. Dex, go ahead.
I think they're going to get onto him next for bringing lunch in to work for everybody so they actually eat and not go out to lunch. Oh, wait, they've been doing that for years.
Yeah, they keep them in horrific conditions. And by the way, if they do have beds at HQ, he probably brought in, he's a trillionaire, he probably brought in like nicer beds than they have at home. But either way, if he wants him to sleep there, I guarantee you it's voluntary. He's not forcing people to be chained to beds at work. It's just not. That's not what's going on. It's hard not to like Elon, but you should also you have to look at it. It's hard not to like what he's doing right now with the Twitter files and with all of that. And maybe he is trying to win over the people that don't trust him. Maybe he is trying to win over the people that see things for, kind of, it's hard not to see the Boring Company, Neuralink, SpaceX, going to Mars. All of this stuff is kind of weird, and they're all government connected. Also, he is connected with China, making, their number 2 customer, makes all of his stuff there. it's hard not to see the kind of stuff there, and you question about it. It's the freedom of reach versus freedom of speech. I don't think freedom of reach is any better than violating freedom of speech. But again, the stuff that he's doing, this is, people either hate or like him, whatever's going on. Go ahead, Dex.
Well, and they're quick to complain about beds, but nobody wants to jump on the fact that he had to fire somebody recently named James Baker, who was suppressing the documents that they were trying to release around the Twitter files. So we'll put an update to that story on in Overflow, along with all the other stuff that you guys should be checking out. As you know, on marfooglenews.com, clicking on the thumbnail of the show, you will see the rest of the story. So I'm going to get that article in there. That's a big reveal. Somebody inside that was pretty high up that he basically had to can, and they have connections with the FBI. They actually worked at the FBI prior to working at Twitter. And they were apparently the gatekeeper of the information flow that was coming out of the Twitter files.
And I wonder what took a couple hours after he said 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to release what happened with the laptop, how it was suppressed, all this stuff. It came out 2 hours late.
Yeah, it was day 2 was supposed to be the next round. And that's where this problem came into play, is this person, James Baker, was all of a sudden the reason why nothing was coming out and being either redacted or held up. And it turns out he used to work in a high-ranking position with the FBI during some other controversial stuff that went down, and then went to work at Twitter and was still there in a position. And so apparently he met with them and canned them, and now they're working on getting the next round of the files out.
I wonder if he was like, okay, we're going to release this stuff, and then because he's not doing it himself, he's not one of the guys on the computer doing it. He's sitting there, and I can see it kind of like one of these shows where the cop is standing by the nerdy computer expert that's like, I've hacked into the mainframe. He's standing holding the back of their chair, and he's like, okay, let's release the Twitter files. And then somebody in the back room's like redacting it, and he's like, whoa, why don't we have them yet? And his team, which contained James Baker, this guy, and they put out, I saw that the thing that they put out basically said that he was stopping him. Oh, here it goes. And he goes, fired. He said the guy is fired. Was basically holding back some key stuff and key names. Let's see here. Yeah, so Dex has attached the actual part about this, about him, and 6 degrees from James Baker. A familiar figure reemerges with the release of Twitter files. Yeah, just nuts. FBI was in there personally deleting stuff. And he says, yes, his explanation was unconvincing. Oh, man. The world is falling apart, and it's fun. All right. Remember, the show actually continues over on Marfoogle Jams. If you have not found that channel yet, make sure to go do so. Thank you, Blue Boy 1968 Chappie. Thank you, VW Blue Sky, B-Roll Beast, Bible Talk 777. Thank you for supporting. Thank you over on D-Live, everybody. I appreciate you guys. Theta Mooned Me. Hey, Fooglers. Brunson versus Adams Supreme Court case. Let's see. Hope you take a look. 300 plus U.S. officials' jobs potentially at stake. Well, I will make sure to. Theta Moon Me, thank you. VW Blue Sky, JC for Christ. Let's see here. Charity Sullivan, thank you. Steel Hauling, Health Heath Spear, thank you. It is now time for the shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro.
Bugs go away. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history. If the bugs go away. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history. If the bugs go away. Now let's talk about the birds and the bees. If we're not careful, there'll be history. If the bugs go away.